We've returned!
Hey! Welcome back,
Hello,
everybody.
hello, hello.
We're
Uh,
going to go over a couple of things that were submitted in the completed works that were un-Arctic related, I believe, next. Some folks had just some subclasses and some edits to some of the stuff that we did last week, and we're going to be looking at some of that stuff.
yeah, so we were originally not really going to do the. Thank you, Obsidian Sirix. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Obsidian.
I hope that you enjoy the content we're putting together for you. But yeah, what was I saying? We were originally just gonna do the Arctic creatures, but a couple of folks didn't submit Arctic creatures, but did submit other stuff. So we wanted to take a minute and look at that stuff, just so we're looking at something for everybody. Blood, sorry I can't follow, but I'm already followed. That's the strangest sorry I've ever heard.
Hey,
Pete, what are we looking at?
thank you, Blood, that you're already followed. The first thing we're going to look at here is Rosia submitted a Chronomancer wizard to us, and we're going to take a quick look at that.
Chronomancy is such an interesting subject, right? Because it's something that like you totally want to do, right? It's such a cool idea, but a lot of the stuff that you want to do in Chronomancy is so like game-breakingly powerful. But I guess if you're playing like if you're a DM and you're letting a homebrew Chronomancer into the game, you're kind of expecting that stuff, right?
Yes. I think there's an assumption. I think that time travel is basically the most powerful power. Anytime it's being used, like I see. Obsidian Sirix saying, "Yeah, I really wanted to check out what you got going on and see what else we can do to create more content." Awesome, you've come to the right place. I'm
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to for you to see what we got here. We got a brand new Chronomancer from Rosia that we're looking at. Do you want to take the little intro blurb here, Jeremy?
Yeah, you focus your study on time magic that creates a powerful rippling effect throughout time and space, speeding up and slowing down time, stopping time and going back in time. All chronomancers find themselves in complicated situations, serving as the ultimate healers or killers as they revert time on a subject as if it were never there. And the fact is, it was never there, or speed up time on a subject until nothing's left but dust. Others can use their spectacular power to take a one-way trip back in time to solve past issues and right the wrongs or case terrible wrongs of man, or change terrible wrongs of man. While some try to venture into the infinite future and try to guide the current into the future they seek. Very interesting. I mean, yeah, that's Chronomancy. You nailed it.
That's time travel. Let's look at basic Chronomancy here, which is the first feature. It's called acceleration and deceleration.
Mm-hmm.
With
And
the
this is a wizard subclass.
Yes, so this would be getting this at level 2. Yep, I'm right about that. With the basics of Chronomancy at your grasp, you can speed or slow down yourself or one other creature. You can speed up the time on your body and gain one additional round of movement and actions on the same round, or you can choose to slow down a creature so that one attack would take up to 2 turns to perform. The hit always lands on the second turn. You can do each a number of times equal to your int modifier every long rest, and only able to do this once per round. Each of the effects only lasts 1 round. At higher levels, you are able to affect 2 creatures at once and gain an extra use at 5th level. 3 creatures at 11th level increase the duration by an extra round and gain 2 extra uses at 17th level.
All right, so I actually really love this feature. It sounds a lot like Action Surge, or like a much more controlled and tame version of the actual time stop spell, which is a 9th level spell in 5th edition D&D. I really like that you made it so that as the wizard, right, you're either supporting one of your allies or kind of debuffing one of your enemies. Maybe a little too powerful, but that kind of balance finesse is the kind of thing that's easy to fix anyway. It's just a matter of, well, how many rounds and how many times you get to use it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry too much about the balance of that, because conceptually I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is what I would expect a low-level Chronomancer to be doing, is almost exactly this: speeding someone up or slowing someone down. And yeah, you've accomplished that with this feature. If we're going to start looking at balance on this, just a tidbit of advice, Rosie, I would look to what Jeremy just said, Action Surge, as like Action Surge is one of the more sought after features in the game, and you would probably want to not make it more powerful than Action Surge.
Yeah, well, and I think you actually did a great job just in that very first one, right? Like one attack takes up to 2 turns to perform, and maybe look at the slow spell for that, because the slow spell has some limitations on attacks and spell casting for enemies if you slow them down.
Prevents multi-attacking, I believe.
Yeah, so I think that might be something to look at. But honestly, up until that last sentence, each of the attacks lasts only 1 round, and at higher levels it gets more powerful. I think it's actually fine. I like it a lot, just as it is at that point. A pretty strong kind of Action Surge-esque that you can donate to your friends or hurt your enemies with. It's very neat.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one that we have here is Stasis, which again, the first one was acceleration and deceleration, and that tracked for me. Also, just stopping things in time definitely tracks for me for the next step.
Very appropriate.
Starting at 6th level, you've understood the basics of time magic and are now able to stop time everywhere or in a centralized bubble. Once a day, you can briefly stop the flow of time for everyone in the bubble, or everyone outside the bubble, or everyone but yourself. No organic thing can pass through the bubble while it is active, and spells cannot breach the bubble. You can move the bubble at half speed, though you cannot move it to encompass other creatures. You're able to stop time up to a full round. You may stop time up to 1 minute and get another use at 11th level. 1 hour, another use at 17th, and the bubble can be as small as 5 by 5 feet or as large as 120 by 120 feet.
Oh my goodness. This is so exciting to me. Okay.
You are taking a lot of bold actions here, which I respect a lot. The thing that has kind of pretty much turned me off about every time-based thing that I've ever seen done before is because time travel is inherently broken. Everyone's very hesitant to give you anything cool, but this is really what I want to do if I'm a Chronomancer is stop time for a little bit. And I think that this is probably still a little bit too, not a little bit, this is a very powerful implementation of that idea, but I like where your head's at on it.
There's a really awesome book series called Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And in the second era of Mistborn, the books 4, 5, and 6, there was a character in it that has this kind of time bubble magic. They can, within a small area, stop time for everyone in the bubble. People inside the bubble can interact with creatures outside the bubble. Creatures outside the bubble can interact with creatures.
Is this big spoilies?
No, it's not.
Okay, cool. No, I haven't read the second half. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's not big spoilies. It's something that's
okay. I got scared because I haven't read the second half of that series yet.
I love that you used the word bubble because it immediately made me think of that character. And the way that you executed it here makes a ton of sense. The only thing I would say is I would recommend that you put it where the creatures in the bubble can interact with creatures outside the bubble, and I might make it so that the bubble can't move. It'd make it a stationary bubble to stop time. But otherwise, this is very, very cool. I like this a lot. And I also really, really like, it's something that I feel like is missing on a lot of other features, because I've had players ask me about these kind of things in the past when I've been running games. The fact that you can choose the radius of it, you can choose the area, I think is a really important thing, because I've had players, I had a player playing a Shadow Sorcerer in a campaign that I was running quite some time ago now. And that was a feature they always kept coming down to is, I want to decide how big my darkness is. And that was a cool homebrew thing I gave them is, yeah, when you cast things that make darkness, you can make their radius smaller than their default radius if you want. And that was the greatest thing I ever did for them. They had an absolute blast with it. So I like that. I like that that's included. The bubble is stationary. You can move the bubble at half speed, though you cannot move it to encompass other creatures. Yeah, okay, so I was reading that right there. I'm not sure if that was maybe a vestige of a previous iteration or something. Hello, Stinky Feet Charlie.
I was looking for D&D stuff and found you. What is this? This is Fantasy Labs. We are doing 5th edition homebrew material, where people from our community or just anyone who's interested in submitting content sends it onto our Discord server, and we take a look and talk about what people are making.
Yeah.
Oh, we hit the goal, Jeremy. 25 followers.
my goodness, and just in time for 20 sides to every story, hit us with a big old raid.
Welcome,
Thank you so
welcome
much,
all.
20 sides. Welcome everybody. Exciting.
Yeah, this is a very big couple of seconds that we've just had here.
I know. Same.
Yeah, we just hit our 25 new follower goal for Monster Mash, which means that at the end, the last thing we're going to do tonight before we finish up the stream, so we'll probably go a little bit later than we usually do tonight, is do a Monster Mash. Jeremy, Monster Mash is your child. Do you want to tell them what it is?
Monster Mash is a segment we've been planning for quite a while here. It's going to be very exciting. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the process of creating an entirely new monster with the concept of that monster being the natural or maybe unnatural predator of a different existing monster. So you guys in chat are going to be able to pick any creature, within some reason, that you want. And then as a community, we're going to create that cool predator. I'm personally hoping it's something like a little weird, like the Mind Flayer. Wondering what the hell the natural predator to the Mind Flayer is, but or to a Lich. Yeah, like what is the natural predator of a Lich?
What is the predator of a Lich? Well,
that's a very good question.
We'll figure out as a community. But Matty Morgs, oh my goodness, so generous, just gifted 10 tier 1 subs to members of the community. My goodness, Matty Morgs, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And also, congratulations to everyone who just got gifted a sub.
Yeah. That's all I got. Yeah.
It's extremely generous. Yeah, we're gonna do that at the end of the stream. Should be a lot of fun. And we'll start taking ideas. We're gonna get the idea for what we're gonna do from you, and we'll wing it when we get there. But
if let's see, I hope this doesn't open in the middle of the stream. Yeah, it didn't. All right, cool. If y'all want to start putting ideas in the chat for different monsters that you would like to see us create a predator for, now is the time. Actually, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat and trying to pick up some of the ideas, and we'll make a kind of poll for them toward the end. All right, After was already putting down the Mind
Flayer.
Thank you,
That's pretty funny. Roving Mauler. I'm not familiar with it. And keep in mind, what we're looking for right now is the idea of monsters that are like established in 5e, so that we can make the predator for that monster. We're not looking for ideas for the predator off the bat. We want to start with just what monster you guys want to see get hunted, and then we're going to build the predator all together. Yeah, the Tarrasque. We knew that someone was going to want to do the Tarrasque.
Yeah,
but
let's keep rolling here. I want to keep
finish up Chronomancer. Sure. So we're talking about Stasis. We talked about Stasis. Let's look at Eye in Time, Jeremy. Do you want to take this one? I think I actually did both of the first ones.
You did, Pete. It was very rude. Eye in Time. At 11th level, your time manipulation has made your mind slightly unstuck in time. I actually love that sentence right there. That kind of strange sentence. Whenever you take a long rest, you roll a D100. The roll will determine what kind of vision and how strong you have, how strong it is. If you roll 50 or under, you see into the past. If you roll 50 or if you're over 50, you see into the current possible future. The lower or higher you roll determine how many details you perceive or how important the vision is decided to be by the dungeon master. If the player rolls an 85 or below, or was above 85 or below 15, they can choose a subject of the vision, such as a character, item, or topic. That's a really interesting idea, and I feel like, as like a dungeon master, I'd like to house rule that kind of stuff. I'm unsure how it really works as like a feature, just because it's so GM discretion.
Yeah, this is a lot more. Doesn't have a lot of hard mechanics for how it works, and that's one of the most important things you always got to do is codify those big ideas. And obviously it's very clear what you're going for. Looking through time, you want to be Doctor Strange with the Eye of Agamotto at the towards the end of Infinity War. Looking through timelines and seeing solutions. It's a very cool idea, and it's a very iconic thing for the Chronomancer to be able to do, but you always got to bind those with hard mechanics. And this puts his features like this, put an immense amount of strain on DMs to like know all of these timelines and to like be able to answer these questions when you ask them. And that's one of the probably most problematic things about this kind of design.
And that might be a cool idea for this could be to reference a couple of spells. Like augury is a simple yes or no question. And whereas legend lore is a little bit more detailed and complex and esoteric. And so maybe it'd be like,
Divination would be a good
of,
one for this too, I think.
yeah, divination's another one. And so maybe based on the rolls that you make, that could determine, right, what you run into, right? What you see, or what spell you gain the benefit of the effects of. Astral Dreadnought
is another one.
Maybe.
The Astral Dreadnought's Predator is a pirate crew of Githyanki.
How about you roll up with our final feature, Anchor in Time?
Anchor in Time. You gain the ability to set an anchor in time. Setting an anchor takes an action. You cannot return to the same for a second time. Items gained within that time are lost. All spell slots that were used within the time frame until the anchor became unused, that were used within the time frame. So I think you get your. I'm not sure if it's you get your spell slots back or you lose them, but that's one of the key points here. The Chronomancer can revert back in time to the last active anchor with a bonus action. If they die, they automatically go back to the last active anchor. Your consciousness and the consciousness of up to 10 creatures you choose, as well as up to 20 other creatures chosen by the DM, interesting, go back in time to the anchor you set if the anchor is set more than 2 days away. Once your anchor is used, it recharges on the next dawn. So the impression I'm getting is this is you choose, all right, now, and then later on you can snap back to that now, and some people retain their memories of the timeline and some do not. And you choose 10, and the GM chooses up to 20. I think our criticisms of this is going to be about the same as it was of Eye in Time.
Yeah, this sounds like a really cool, like, magical item that a dungeon master may or may not want to include in a game. As a class feature, I think it's just too ambiguous.
Yes, it's a cool. very ambitious idea. Yeah, I love the style of it. Obviously, this has style, but it's just not something I think most dungeon masters could legitimately include in a game without. Yeah, I see you even wrote here in blue. You must inform and collaborate with your dungeon master and other players beforehand, before time. So yeah, this would require an immense amount of discussion with your DM to be able to play something like this. And I think that you're doing the kind of big things that people who want to play with time want to do. You just need to find a way to make some of these a little bit simpler. Like, I think, for example, like a 14th level Anchor in Time kind of thing, Jeremy, I could even see that kind of thing being a feature if it was a significantly shorter time frame. Like, if it was like, all right, we're going to see how the next minute goes. I could almost see that being something possible, although that might still be a little bit too much.
The challenge with it is not going to be the concept, because I think conceptually you know what you want to do there. And I think most people who would want this kind of feature would know what they want it to do conceptually. It's the execution and like the specific rules and nuances on like how to consumed magical items work, how does healing work, how does this and that and the other thing work, how does saving throws, how do reactions and things work, right? That would make this a little very challenging to do. It's neat, very, very neat. But I think it's the nuance, right, of like how it would mechanically work that would be the very hard to hammer out. But it's a very cool idea, and it's definitely the kind of stuff that you want to use as a Chronomancer.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, that's the Chronomancer wizard. I know there are some spells down here, some cantrips and things. I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to those right now. Mm-hmm. But do you want to do you want to do one or two, Jeremy, or do you think we should move on to the next one? I know we're now pretty strapped for time.
The second one and the second to last one, Pete.
Sure. Do you know what those are already? Have you had the opportunity to check them out? Oh, okay.
But this spell is called procrastinate.
That's a good enough reason for me. Do you want to take it, Jeremy?
Just saying. Yeah, I guess so. Sorry, I was procrastinating.
As a pretty good bit.
That was a joke, guys.
That was a very good bit you did there, Jeremy.
Procrastinate. Cantrip. It's a cantrip. I love cantrip. One action, range of self, verbal and somatic components, concentration up to a minute. As part of the casting of the spell, you cast a spell with the casting time of one action or one bonus action. Expend the spell slot and any material components used to cast the spell as usual. The spell has no effect on the turn you cast Procrastinate. If the spell has a target or targets or an area of effect, choose them when you cast Procrastinate, and the casted spell's effects take place when Procrastinate ends. That's very cool. I like that a lot.
That almost seems like something that you could make. Like, I don't know if you can have this
That
as...
almost like... I don't know. I think you maybe could.
Well, the problem is the potential, the way it would set up surprise rounds. Just
no, but you got. Well, the thing is, right? Like, you have to choose the targets and everything when you cast Procrastinate.
Yeah.
So,
but
like,
like if you have like if you have like stealth, for example, on someone, for example, like a sorcerer could use this, so a sorcerer could silent spell it and then Procrastinate.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Do the thing, and then they get 2 spells in 1 round on the first. Anyway, I just think it's too much for a cantrip. I could see this being a feature. Like, I could see this being something.
Sorcerer, maybe.
Well, I'm saying I could see this being something that the Chronomancer wizard gets as a feature.
I like this a lot. I don't know. I could say if this were just for the Chronomancer wizard, I could see that as being okay. And given that that is now okay, you can now make spells just for certain subclasses, a la the Florist Guide to Wildmount.
I don't know if I fully believe in that yet, even though Wizards has now done it.
Well, sucks to suck, Pete.
But
let's read that second to last one.
But yeah, I don't think that's actually a good direction to go for most spell design, even though that Wizards has now done it.
Guys, there's a ton of awesome spell ideas in here. I would highly recommend coming and checking these back out. We probably will in the future, but it's a little too much going on right at this moment to read out all of them. Pete, you want to talk about Time Leap?
Sure. It's got a casting time of 1 action. It's a 7th level transmutation spell, range of self. And when you cast the spell, you can choose up to 6 willing creatures within 30 feet. All of you disappear and reappear in the same place after any amount of time, up to a number of days equal to half your level. You decide the amount of time when you cast the spell. If the place is occupied when you reappear and then reappear in the nearest unoccupied space. So you can jump forward half your level, so you can jump forward a week, is what this does at 7th level. I don't know if this is actually something that you couldn't do. Like, going back in time is one thing, but like just the ability to bump people forward in time, I think you could maybe actually do this in a game.
This is really interesting because I'm just thinking like
it's just like campaign dependent. That's the problem with anything that involves time travel. Is that you're inherently putting a huge amount of burden on the DM, but I think this is actually like close for like future travel. Like, you can go forward a week if you want to, and I could picture players having having a lot of fun with that. The only thing that I think is going to cause problems with this kind of feature is, again, like, there's the idea of a part, like the wizard cast this and then the party has to play for a week without the wizard. Like, there's issues with it, but I know time travel is inherently funky.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's just very interesting. Like, it's making me think about it a lot because it's willing creatures. It's like, I'm just going to charm them. And then charm the big bad. So like, see you guys in a week. Deal with the big bad. Rest of the party, dismantle the big bad's operation in the next 7 days. I don't know. I think it's very fun.
Obsidian Cirque saying, very good to keep someone safe, like a target of an assassin, by bumping them a week so you can prep for their defense.
Yeah. Almost like a sequester.
It's not going forward in time. Technically, it's basically you're frozen in time and waiting for a set amount of time. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's like it almost works.
It's almost a sequester spell. It's just a little different.
Yeah, the way it works and the kind of the flavor of it obviously is different. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's something that I could spend a lot of time thinking about.
Oh, Rosie, the stream froze for you. I'm very sorry. I hope no one else is having those issues. But yeah, Rosie, thank you so much. I hope you can hear. Thank you so much for submitting these. This is very cool. I think you're way too harsh on yourself. There's a lot of very cool ideas in here. Yeah, especially those the first and sixth level. Very, very, very cool, and even pretty close to being in a good spot. So yeah, I wouldn't be so quite so harsh upon yourself. Very neat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing them with us, Rosia. Yeah, let's go on to the next Jeremy.
Yeah. So the next thing, Pete, do we even want to do my things, or do we want to jump right into the monster?
Why don't we do those next week? Yeah. I'll finish up. We can do all of the ones that we've done from things next week. I'll polish mine for next week too.
Well, I guess in that case, Pete, there's one last thing I'd like to do before we dive into the Monster Mash, and that is I'm open the show doc again, and I know it says Pete down at the bottom, but we're gonna change that to Sword because our buddy Sword also created one. He shared it in the chat. A monster. We're going to touch on it very, very briefly here. Typically, guys, in the future, if we're doing these kind of homework assignments and you guys want to share your stuff and have it talked about on the stream, please do have it submitted before we start the show.
Yeah,
at least like half an hour or so.
Right up until stream start is fine. But.
Yeah, because it's just we do try and kind of figure out how much time we got on the show for all the different stuff going on, but you took the time to make it, so I wanted to take a peek at it real quick. The Creeping Frost, and I'll say, Thor, the thing that you won me over with is it's an aquatic one.
Ooh.
But I love aquatic creatures. They say beware what lurks beneath the water. The same can be said for the snow. The Creeping Frostweave is a unique plant monster as it permeates beneath the snow, expanding its network of vines like a spider's web, latching onto anything that happens to step in its tendrils, reacting and dragging them beneath the snow to not only subdue and suffocate them under weight of the snow, but to thrust its vines in the victim's still warm body and leach vital nutrients from them. Oh God. Okay, not aquatic. You tricked me with the first sentence. Typically, they live their entire life completely hidden and invisible to naked eye, except during the brief period of the summer months when the permafrost and snow melts away, making it easier to spot. Although it can still ensnare prey, without the heavy snow to subdue their victim, it puts the frostweave at a disadvantage, allowing prey to eventually free itself or cut the vines and escape. All right. So it's not really a sentient or intelligent creature. It's just a predator that hides under the snow and lashes up with these root-like vines. Burrows to escape.
Oh, that's cool. I also can see, rather than burrowing deep underground, I can see you going a direction where you just have this thing burrow through the snow. And if you're in a tundra biome with very high snow, there's just tunnels for these things in the rice snow. That could be a very cool aesthetic that would be unique to this biome as well.
Mm-hmm. I like that you added how they would interact with each other. If two would ever interact, they would kind of enter into a battle and battle each other until they were both destroyed, and a new one takes root.
That is also very cool. And you have some ideas for the some of the mechanics of them here: immune to cold, resistant to fire, susceptible to necrotic damage. Interesting. And would be neutral.
What's the plan? Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I can see it. Kind of like a blight spell would be effective against them. That makes sense to me, certainly. And being an unintelligent creature, they are neutral in alignment. That certainly makes sense. You can also go in that direction. Unaligned is another one too. If you want something to just be completely, this is just an animal acting on instinct, essentially, or a plant acting on instinct in this case. Unaligned is usually the way you want to go with that.
Yeah, and about this guy, one of the things that I saw that I really was interested in was you were talking about suffocation, and actually you say that in the sentence here, this paragraph. This is a weak creature with strong grappling capabilities that's particularly vulnerable with it, around its main root if it's detected. So I think it's a really interesting creature as its main threat isn't dealing damage. It's going to be suffocating in these other kind of detrimental effects of the grapple and pulling you into dangerous places. I think that's a very, very cool kind of concept to explore because a lot of monsters are just, I deal damage, I slash my claws, they can get a little cookie cutter at times. And I think it's very neat, and talking about what we were talking about before in terms of unique and engaging gameplay, that is a unique and engaging gameplay experience. A creature that the creature's attacks aren't the threat. It's the environment that the creature's in that is the threat, and the creature just makes that worse. So I think it's very neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for sharing, Sword.
Yep, absolutely. Again, was really successful, this little experiment that we did.
Yeah, so many unique ideas too. Like, there was a couple of things that I was thinking about, and I was kind of the creature that I was imagining originally when I first was starting to think Arctic was I was picturing sort of a Arctic anglerfish that like puts something out of the snow and that draws people over and then eats them. And I think there was like one or two that were in that vein, but for the most part, there were just a huge diversity of ideas, which is just awesome to see other people's perspectives.
Yeah, and I think Frosty and V Bunny, I know you two did the two monks. We have them on our radar, The Way of the Dancing Dragon and The Path of the Gentle Breeze. We're going to look at those next week when we look at the Night Domain Cleric and the Worm Otherworldly Patron for Warlocks. That way we can like look at all of those lab experiments together in their polished form. It should be very, very interesting, I think. I'd love to see where like all of them turned out.
Yeah, certainly me as well. But I think that would normally be it for our show, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, typically we'd be finishing up around now. Thanks, everyone. See you later. No, not tonight. Because tonight, Pete, we're doing something very different.
Because tonight we don't have the royalties to this song. Because tonight, but you know which song I'm talking about.